E te iwi hoki mai anō ki tēnei whakapāhotanga o tēnei tukinga ki Wainganui i te kapa Tall Blacks me te kapa Boomers. Ko te haukainga kei mua rātou i tēnei wā pā te kaumātoru ki te toru te kaumāwhetu at the end of the half. Tall Blacks trailing 43-37 to the Boomers. What's your impressions of the first half?
Well, it was definitely typical hard-nosed international basketball. We saw, Jones, Penny and Cameron all step up in their roles and contribute. And, it was only for that little lapse at the end there in that last minute that Australia shot out to that little 7-point lead, back with Penny with a 1-point free throw, and we're back in the game, possibly.
Well, it was a fantastic start to that second quarter when the Tall Blacks went on an 11-3 run. And it looks as though, first of all, we'll talk about Petal Cameron. You said he stepped over, caught vision, just creating open shots for his teammates. Yeah,
definitely. PC's a scientist of the game, you might say. And, he always has his hand to a lot of the plays and he creates a lot from where he is on the court. And he has good, like you said, good court vision.
And just looking also, going back to that new style of play, it is, you can see it straight away that the things are opening, lanes that are opening up for the slashers like Sparky Dickel to take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, Sparky will be loving it. He's got a bit of space to wheel and deal, and he's a great passer. Hopefully we see some of his passes hit the outside shooter in this quarter.
Well, those are the positive things for the Tall Blacks, but still 6 points behind. Where are the Boomers getting us?
Well, the Boomers, I didn't see too much of a scoring punch that quarter. They seem to put on a half-court, pressure zone sort of thing, and they're putting a lot of pressure on the Tall Blacks in that quarter.
And, well, that's a fantastic thoughts there, but, well, let's hope that the Tall Blacks can come back from the 6-point deficit. Nō reira kia hoki atu mo te wehenga tuarua o tēnei pakanga ki Wainganui te kapa Tall Blacks me te kapa Boomers.
Shane, do you see any pattern emerging there at the moment?
Well, I think the pattern is when New Zealand go to their bench, they just don't have the depth to be able to compete with the Australian team. And I think that some of the lineups that the coach has gone with New Zealand haven't been good ones. They need their scorers in there. They need some control. Anytime Pero Cameron goes out of the game, it's really a tough schedule for them.
Jeff, do you see it that way? 6-point lead to Australia. Does that indicate where the game's at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, Shane's right. The Kiwis have got to keep scorers on the court, and when they don't, it really is going to be a long night.
Let's look at those percentages. Australia, well, if you look at the top line, 41% against 62%. I mean, you shouldn't be leading in that situation. But look at the second line, and the threes make quite a difference.
They certainly do. Australia 6 out of 9 from the three-point line. That certainly makes a massive difference. But obviously the rebounding is a big one for the Australians as well.
The other stat there is the turnovers. 9-4. The Tall Blacks, Jeff, have turned it over 9 times. The Boomers 4.
And it happened in that last minute of play, didn't it? That's where it was critical. That's where the Boomers were able to capitalise on those silly mistakes of the Tall Blacks.
Shane, you spoke to David Anderson. He had a hell of a first half.
He certainly did. 11 points. And I really don't think he got the ball enough. You see him there with his touch around the basket. He shot a couple of threes, and that was more out of frustration, I think. You see him make that one, but he needs to get deep touches because these guys just aren't tall enough and aren't thick enough to be able to defend him when he gets both feet in the paint.
Do you like the way he's getting his points? I mean, you one stage you were thinking you should get down the low block a little bit more and just demand the ball.
I think he has to. They have to make it a bread and butter play to get him inside. And you run the ball through, you get ball reversal, you try and get it inside to him, and then get your shooters spotted up around. So when New Zealand do make a double team, we've got ways to be able to penalise that defence.
We saw Patrick Mills, Jeff, making his debut here for Australia. I mean, he played in Europe, but this is the real debut here. A couple of defensive plays for him were quite something, weren't they?
He was outstanding, and of course Shane said in commentary, let's watch out because strap yourself in, and he really did do a great job defensively.
They were quite disruptive, and I know that Brian Goorjian coming into this series wanted to do that, disrupt the Kiwis as much as he could.
Brian Goorjian has wanted to do that for his whole career as a coach, and he's made a living out of it. He's one of the best, and this whole Boomers outfit has really jumped on board, and the enthusiasm's been great, the defence has been good, and then we saw that hustle really translates to easy baskets. They just need more of it.
Glenn Saville was another one who's come to the party.
Glenn Saville's been someone who's been great for Australia over the last few years. He's got a really good three-point shot, and he's about 6'7", 6'8", so he does a lot of things, and now he's a real leader on this team and a cornerstone on it. And if the Boomers do well next year, Glenn Saville will be a big part of this team.
Yes, and filling it up from outside, he can take it off the dribble as well and really cause some trouble on the inside, but that's that rubbish there at the end from New Zealand that they just would have really been hurting from. So let's take a look at the top scorers in this game so far. At half-time, the situation here, we've got a 6-point lead to Australia. Glenn Saville with 12. Kirk Penny for 9. They've been a fairly quiet 9 points, Jeff, from Kirk Penny.
Yeah, there has been a quiet 9 points, but what's surprising there, it's Mark Dickel 6 points. You don't expect Mark Dickel to be a big scorer, but it's those 6 points have been easy baskets, going to the basket strong.
Yeah, David Anderson with 11 and Sam again. That's a nice spread to have 3 players in double figures for Australia, but we mentioned Pero Cameron in that first half. He was the difference when it was on the line there. Pero Cameron was the guy that came to play.
Yeah, he only scored 5 points, and this is one of the 5 with the 3-pointer. But it was the little things that he did. He backed Anderson down here, spun off him, got it inside to Bradshaw. They are the little things that Pero Cameron can do. You know, and look, there's another no-look pass just off the turn on the post. So that's the sort of character that you need.
Yeah, he's a guy who really recognises what's going on the floor faster than anybody else. So the situation here at half-time is the Australian Boomers lead by 43 points to 36. But we've got a whole half of basketball to go. In fact, we've got 2 more games after this to decide which team goes to Beijing.
E te ui tēnā wātu koutou katoa, kua tata tai mātou ki te tīmatanga o te wehenga tuarua i tēnei pakanga ki Wainga Nui. Tēnei tīma Boomers me te tīma o ngā Tall Blacks. Looking at the score, 43-37, we're down by 6. What did the Tall Blacks need to do in order to get back into this game?
Well, definitely I think Bradshaw and Casey Frank need to step up and stamp their authority onto the game and contribute more in the next half.
Just looking at that, should we be anticipating anything different from the Boomers with a 6-point lead? Will they be close-up shop type thing and just to protect the lead?
Oh, definitely. They'd be wanting to start the half strong and build on their little lead, and expect them to turn up the heat even more on D.
Like we talked about the strengths of the good parts of the performance of the Tall Blacks. What are the areas that they need to fix up?
Well, I think they just need to continue doing what they're doing and improve on, what they're doing good at in this half. Kirk Penny needs to continue to hit those outside shots. Jonesy needs a little bit more looks. Give the ball to Pero and see if he can work some more wonders.
Ka tika rā, no reira kia titiro ake. Mena ka taera e rātou ki te tukutuki au a whāinga, rā kia hoki atu anō ki Poipiripi.
Apart, Lindsay Gay's a great Australian coach. Lindsay Gay's there.
And Chuck Harmison from the National Basketball League, and a couple of the greats of Australian basketball. Chuck, he played for the Nunawading Spectres and played for the West Sydney West Stars, and just as an absolute ornament to the game. And of course, Lindsay, I won't even try and start with his record. We haven't got time tonight. Well, that is the Tall Blacks back on the court and all ready for the Boomers. And Jeff, what have they got to do first up? What have they do in the first couple of minutes here?
I think they've just got to tidy up the turnovers. Like, apart from 40 seconds of basketball, the Tall Blacks have done quite well. I'm really happy with it. I just think that tidying up the communication on offence and making sure that they don't do those silly turnovers in the crunch.
I think both teams are pretty much back to their starting fives here, and we're seeing Cameron go to work on McKinnon. They shift the ball to Bradshaw, and he got Saville into the air, and the three-point shot that went down from Mark Dickel. So stop one three-point shooter and another one bobs up. But that's the way good teams are, and that's the way the Tall Blacks are. Three-point ball game.
That's certainly not Mark Dickel's strength, so he'll be very happy with that shot.
I think Gorgian would be happy that they'd let up that sort of shot from Mark Dickel because, like, as you say, Shane, he's not known for three-point shooting.
Glenn Saville there, and there's a nice Nice little move there from David Anderson because he drew a crowd, and now the Tall Blacks throw the ball away again. Saville, he probably picked that ball up a bit quickly then. He might have had a good one-on-one against Pero Cameron there. Perhaps had a chance of drawing another foul out of him, which they really need right now, the Boomers. Something the Tall Blacks do not need. Here's Anderson going to work against Cameron, and the rebound belongs to Craig Bradshaw. 45 plays 40 as Dickel works against Jason Smith. Darnell Mee has the job on this man, Kirk Penny, who can really light it up. Pero Cameron had a hand in the face there from Anderson, but just backed it away. And isn't that a tough move?
Oh, it's a tough move, but it's something that Pero Cameron can do consistently. And it doesn't matter who he's got on him. If he's got his feet set, it doesn't matter whether he's fading away, he's going to make that.
But he knows he's got a David Anderson out there who's not comfortable in that position, and he knows what he's capable of, so he just takes him into a spin, goes for the rinse cycle and knocks it down.
Well, New Zealand have used their strength by taking Pero Cameron and getting Dave Anderson away from the basket. Australia has to come back the other way and get Dave Anderson inside against Pero Cameron here.
Well, we got a chance there, but there's an open shot there from Darnell Mee that he couldn't turn down, but couldn't make it. Now they get it again. Here's Anderson to work low against Cameron. Turns around and just doesn't go for him, but Sam McKinnon cleans it up. Australia leaders by 4. And Boucher brings it back quickly. Lyndon Boucher's such a role player. He just plays the defensive job and throws the good passes, works the boards over. And it's a bonus if he scores, but he couldn't that time. Saville. All the way across to Jason Smith. The shot was there for him, didn't bother. Just wanted to work the ball through some hands first. Saville, a chance to go against Dickel. Now McKinnon. Anderson looked at 3, and he got a bump from Cameron that time, and that will be 3 fouls on Pero Cameron.
That's critical for the Tall Blacks.
Here it is, have a look at it again.
That's just a bad call.
Yeah. Neither player was doing anything. Cameron moved his feet, got in front of him.
You were asking Anderson to work against Cameron, but not in that position.
No, you certainly don't want him out there. But yeah, that's a really big blow for the New Zealand team, because now Pero Cameron looking at the bench now, asking how many fouls he's got. He can't play with the same aggression.
Smith, chance to isolate Penny. Saville had a look at the baseline and then goes inside and took a tough shot. Perhaps could have shifted that ball another couple of times. As Dickel slows it up. Now let's see the way they go. Dickel isolating Smith, and he goes in the corner to Penny. Couldn't make the shot, and Kirk Penny will normally make that. That's bread and butter for him. But we've seen a foul on the play, and the foul goes against
Sam McKinnon.
That was, again, that looked like a great block out by Sam McKinnon. They're the sort of things that you have to do when you're playing international basketball, is to block your man out and keep the offensive man off the boards. But as we see Pero Cameron go to the sidelines, obviously can't risk him.
And Casey Frank, who's got the ball right now, is the man who's come in. It's their alternate at the 4 spot. And a foul again by the Australians. So 2 quick ones. So that will be the second team foul against the Boomers. Jason Smith with a foul.
See, Phil, we gave the refs a rap in the first half, and then what do you know? They call this soft, tiggy stuff. My daughter's up in the under-14 national championships. They should be up there.
Bit early in the series to start on the refs. Dickel.
It's never too early.
Turnaround from 3-point territory for Kirk Penny. Plenty of Boomers on the boards, almost too many of them. And Sam McKinnon controlled it well. This is a superb athlete, McKinnon. Smith bobbled it for a moment. And here's Anderson looking to work low against Casey Frank. Backing him in, and draws the foul out of it. He's causing some problems down low, the big man.
Yeah, that's too easy for David Anderson, and Casey Frank's just too small to be able to just put any body on Anderson, let alone guard him. And
that's 3 fouls on Casey Frank too, and Anderson working on the outside this time. Not as effective. 4-point ball game. Boomers in charge at the moment, but not by many. Dickel again with the penetration. Casey Frank on the outside. And Worthington, who's come into the game for the Aussie Post Boomers.
You've got to ask yourself, is Tony Rampton for the Tall Blacks injured? Because he'd be a better option than Casey Frank.
Worthington, nothing doing for him from the three-point line, and a foul, a reach in as they bang Dylan Boucher there. That's a cheap one in the backcourt. It's one you don't want to give away. Tony Rampton waiting for his opportunity on the bench, but it hasn't come.
And you're right, Phil, that is a real cheap foul there. You see Darnell Mee put his hands in. It takes the Boomers to 3 team fouls, and you just can't afford to put the other team on the free throw line with a cheap one.
So Darnell Mee on his seat and Patrick Mills back in the game. Down the middle of Coast Penny, and there's plenty of defenders there. That will be a Boomers ball in the backcourt.
You don't want to take it soft against Sam McKinnon because he had even bigger athleticism when he was younger, but he can still get up there now.
I can see Patrick Mills get going in this second half. He struggled a little bit in the first, looked good with the ball, but couldn't get a shot off. Oh, that's not that time from Sam McKinnon. Wasn't a great shot in the end. He was forced a long way from the basket for a shot like that. Here's Dickel. Oh, behind the back and goes to Smith, and that's a foul from Boucher. So 14 fouls against New Zealand in this second quarter, 3 against Australia.
But you got that same problem again, Phil. The Tall Blacks just don't have the scoring balance on the floor, and they've now corrected that with bringing Phil Jones back in. Because, like, once Pearl Cameron goes off and he's left with one of the guards like Kirk Penny, you know, there's not a lot of options in the scoring department.
New Zealand certainly look a lot more potent when they've got Phil Jones and Kirk Penny both in the game at the same time. Both great three-point shooters.
McKinnon, newly in there. There's plenty of firepower in there for the Boomers at the moment. And this fellow Anderson and draws a foul, and they're really starting to rack them up, the Tall Blacks. And we just saw Dylan Boucher sit with 3, and he sat alongside Pero Cameron with his 3 fouls. And now the first foul this time goes against Craig Bradshaw, so he's been pretty tidy underneath.
If they give Anderson a chance and continue to go inside, good things are going to happen.
Now, this is what I said before. Tony Rampton, I was just wondering why he wasn't in the game, because, you know, he's a big body, a tall body that can at least get a hand up on Anderson, at least push him around a little bit better than someone as small as Casey Frank.
When Tony Rampton appeared in the 2000 Olympics, he was so mobile for a 7-footer. I thought, this guy's going to go places, but he hasn't really gone on with it.
You've got to throw the question out too. Would it have been better to get Casey Frank out and leave Bradshaw in there and have some athleticism in that 4 spot with Rampton?
All the while...
No, I don't think you need to throw it out there at all, Shane. I think that's what they should have done. Absolutely right.
6-point ball game. The Boomers in charge, and Newley sat on his... Worthington sat on his pants, but no call from the referee. Here's Mills, a chance to use the afterburners, but just too many black shirts in front of him. Try and get the ball in the hands of Newley on the outside. Down low they go. And a foul on the play, so they're really racking them up. In fact, the Tall Blacks in the last couple of minutes have racked up more fouls than they have in the first quarter. And now the foul count, 18 to New Zealand and 17 Australia. So it's really, really evened up, whereas the Boomers are in trouble in that area in the first quarter.
Now here's a big call. Bring Captain Pearl Cameron back into the game with his foul situation. Because we saw that stat just on screen a moment ago. The turnovers are just absolutely, and I talked about it at halftime break. The turnovers are going to hurt the Tall Blacks big time.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you leave Pero Cameron on the bench, and all of a sudden New Zealand are down 12 or 14 points going into the last quarter, and you're really saving him for nothing at the same time. So I think he can defend Dave Anderson. He's probably one of the only guys that can. He gets that big forearm in your back, and you really can't shift Pero Cameron off that spot.
Well, Dave Anderson's the high scorer in the game right now. He's looking for his 15th point right here and gets it. And the Boomers jump away by 8, the biggest lead of the ball game. Cameron back in the game to see if he can do something about that, but they got some experience out there with Hanari, the man with the ball, Rampton, Jones, and Cameron. Crowd starting to get behind the Boomers defensively, and Cameron has that one rim out on him. Worthington a chance to break it out of the backcourt, but the defence is set. Patrick Mills, the point guard. Screen from Anderson. Goes back to the shot for Anderson, but no, nothing doing there. 5 seconds left on the shot clock as Newley heads for the hoop, can't get the score. And a foul from Newley. That's a frustration foul from Brad Newley. Brad Newley's just not getting the kind of shots that he wants. He loves to spot up outside the three-point line, but it's just not happening for him out there tonight. But his time will come. He's got to be a little bit more patient than that.
It was a good drive by Brad Newley, and he made an error. He missed the shot, but then he turned it into a mistake by actually putting his hand in and committing Australia's 4th team foul. So every foul from now on, the Kiwis are going to shoot free throws.
We're going to see David Anderson, no number. 13 is listed on the score. There must have been some blood on his singlet. Very hot on that rule at feeble level. Any spot of blood that has to come off. Now Cameron looks for the return pass to Hanari, but goes to Rampton, and again an offensive foul that Patrick Mills picked up. He's picked up 3 of them in the game already.
He's so quick, he can get to that position as the guy's starting to make the cut. You only see it a little bit. Hanari pushes off, and you know it's a bit of a flop. And
when you got the hands in the middle of the chest, you give yourself away a bit, don't you?
You certainly do. And he didn't put much into it, but he's only a little fella. He probably weighs about 76, 77 kilos, I reckon, when he's got his shoes and orthotics in.
Well, at the moment, doing a good job defensively. He's known as an offensive threat, though, and he hasn't shown us that yet, but that will come. Newley backdoor cut. Oh, wasn't able to finish it off, but they will get the ball back. The Boomers. It came off a Tall Blacks hand last.
And that's the sort of play Brad Newley needs to get to be able to get himself into the game. Good pass by Sam McKinnon. Had he made that, he sort of gets himself a bit of confidence and makes his next jump shot.
Out of bounds play from the Boomers. What have they got here? Pump fake there from Worthington, just couldn't make it go, and these players get annoyed with themselves at not able to make that shot because it doesn't open up all that often.
Because Lindsay Tate now into the game with the foul situation with Paul Henare.
And offering the defensive foul there called, it came from the Lithuanian referee, Raimondas Beltauskas, and I think David Anderson was after an offensive call there. Have a look at it again. What do you think, boys?
No, I think it's the right call. I think if you're going to play defence up that tight and really not have the movement, you give the guy no chance to be able to move his feet, and it was a good pull through by Rampton.
And it's 3 fouls against David Anderson, so that brings a change in the big man department. Russell Hinder comes in. Haven't seen anything from Wade Helliwell yet, but Anderson's done such a good job in there. It's just been Helliwell sitting on the bench, and this man, Russell Hinder, coming in and playing the backup minutes. Tony Rampton, who has been around a bit. The Cairns Taipans.
Been to Wollongong, and now he's at West Sydney.
And can't score it off the free throw line. But not good from the big men's union. Got too bad a rap on the free throw line. And Tony Rampton only adds to the myth.
I don't think there's any myth there.
Worthington with Rampton looking. Can't find Mills down low. He's got Tate all over him. And here's that battle now. Mills and gets the shot up, but just can't get it to go. I think once he gets that first one going, plenty more can come. Lindsay Tate, he can shoot the ball as well if he gets a chance. Bill Jones being covered up, but just not happening for the Tall Blacks at the moment. This can happen with this guy with the ball, though. He goes to Rampton. McKinnon holds his feet. Clock winds down too far, and they didn't get the shot off. So the Tall Blacks being frustrated by this Australian defence at the moment. Or is it? Are they frustrating themselves at the moment?
I just think that they're frustrating themselves with the turnovers. You know, the shot clock violation there. That's all they've got to tidy up. If they can do that, they can get back in this game. But until they tidy up the turnovers, there's an easy bus. Step through by Sam McKinnon.
And that's a product of Pero Cameron having 3 fouls. He just wasn't able to really put the defensive pressure on there that he wanted to. Bacona out there handling the ball at the moment. Tate back door. They covered him up well, but he got it well to Rampton. And there'll be no basket on the follow-through. It'll be Tony Rampton to go to the free throw line. He was fouled.
But the big guy's got to be able to finish there. Like, you know, good little bit of interaction between the players there. But when you get down that low, you've got to be able to finish and put some pressure.
Especially after he's missed his last couple of free throws too. It's a dangerous time for the New Zealanders right now. And if you're a Kiwi fan, I'm sure you were sitting at home and screaming for Kirk Penny. You want to see a little bit of poise there, and someone can put points on the board. I don't know how many they've got this quarter, but I know it's not many.
Well, I can tell you, in fact, it's 7. It's got 7 in over 8 minutes. And Tony Rampton adds a couple to that. So,
and there's that man that Hammer's just talking about, you know, Kirk Penny. Where is he right now? Sitting on the bench, getting cold. That shooting iron is getting cold.
Mills at the screen there from Hinder. That shot, and there's his first point. The 19-year-old Patrick Mills out of the Australian Institute of Sport. He'll remember that basket right there. 10-point ball game.
Just looks pretty. Even when he misses, he looks good.
Spoken like a guard. Spoken like a shooting guard. I didn't score, but gee, it looked good. Ball goes back to the Tall Blacks. Just tip pass onto Jones. They didn't restart the shot clock on that one. And Mills gets it up in the hands of Newley. That's where he likes to have the ball. Couldn't make it though. Brad Newley would like a couple of more attempts from out there. Inside the final minute of the third quarter. A quarter that's really belonged to the Australia Post Boomers. And the pass that was meant for Lindsay Tate was an ambitious one from Tony Rampton.
The problem with the Tall Blacks right now, Hammer, is that they're getting the ball in the offense to the wrong people. That's the problem.
You don't know what their strategy is. You don't know where they're trying to go to the well to actually get a bucket. And now you have a foul like that, a cheap one. 10 points the difference. And it's really dangerous stakes for the Kiwis right now.
Yes, it's been a dreadful quarter for them scoring-wise. 8 points in the quarter. Just haven't been able to score. Kirk Penny coming into the game now, but with 39 seconds to go in the quarter. Mika Bacona going out.
Well, he's the guy that we need as far as the Tall Blacks are concerned, Kirk Penny, but he's been on the bench a long, long time.
Not protecting him in foul trouble. He hasn't got a foul against his name yet. Glenn Saville, what a game he's had. 16 points now, a couple of boards. And Saville will go out and take a break before the final quarter. They'll need him in the last quarter. And into the game comes Jason Smith. Now Penny bringing the ball up the floor, playing in the point role. They sent Tate down low. Looking for the handoff. Cameron might have got a finger in the eye there. Tate, or Jones it was, pushed it on the inside, but one of the bald heads. And now Patrick Mills to go against Pero Cameron. And Patrick Mills is going to have too much speed there.
Yeah, that's a foot race that Pero's never going to win. But I get back to the Tall Blacks once again. We saw Tony Rampton shoot that last shot. It was an air ball. You know, the offense, they're getting the ball to the wrong people. You know, why would you give it to Rampton shooting a 3 in the corner?
Have a look at this and look at Patrick Mills get off to the race as well. It's not a fair battle up against Pero Cameron, but
he was certainly running out of his weight class.
And we've got a whistle on the play, and that won't please Brian Goorjian because it puts the Tall Blacks at the free throw line with a couple of seconds left in the quarter. He had a chance to blot them out in that last minute, and now they get a chance to score off the free throw line, and it's Kirk Penny.
I reckon if you had strapped a stake to the young fellow, mate, I reckon Big Pero would have caught him.
Well, Kirk Penny, as we've talked about, spent plenty of time on the bench in this third quarter, and the scoreline reflects that. A 13-point game and a chance for Australia to score before the three-quarter time hooter goes. And he's going to get another one.
That is the third time.
In fact, the Tall Blacks over the line.
That is the third time that the Tall Blacks have violated
I can't remember the last time I saw one team do it once in a game. That's ridiculous.
Mills get it up very quickly, Patrick. I don't think they had time for the pass, but they did. And Brad Newley, what a play. They worked it into a play where they had Brad Newley outside the free throw line. It was a good penetration from Patrick Mills, but I think they'll be very happy with that quarter. There's the score at three-quarter time. It's the Australia Post Boomers 59 over the New Zealand Dominion Finance Tall Blacks 46.
E te iwi kei mua rāno te kapa Boomers, rima te kau mā iwa ko te kapa Tall Blacks e whai haerea nei whā te kau mā ono. Not a good quarter for the Tall Blacks.
Oh, definitely not. There was not a lot of scoring happening in that quarter, and there was plenty of fouls and turnovers, and, you know, Pero sat in foul trouble.
Just looking at the Tall Blacks' performance, they started off great, 2-3 straight off the back end of the break. Then after that, they just completely shut up shop. Well, what's happening? What's frustrating them? Is it the defense or is it themselves?
Well, anytime you score single digits in a quarter, you're struggling on offense, and, you know, Nenad will not be happy about this.
Ara, te kaumā toru te rerekētanga ki Wainganui ngā kapa e rua nei, kia titiru aki I nei, mena ka tae te kapa Tall Blacks te hoki mai kia whaioranga.
It's just all about the communication factor. You know, just before the half there, they turned it over, 7 points the Boomers racked up on them, and they just haven't recovered from that. Not yet anyway. The eternal optimist.
They're both in the back of their starting fives, and that's no surprise going into this final quarter. Backing away, David Anderson, a tip from Sam McKinnon. He is just so active around the boards, and that's his real value to this team. Not that he doesn't provide it in other areas, but he does that so well.
But that's his third offensive rebound, and the third one he scored off.
And offensive foul there goes against Dylan Boucher. So I think that might be number 4 on him. I'll wait to see it go up.
Yeah, sometimes Dylan tends to get out of control.
In fact,
he sees an opportunity to score.
And they're the little things from Glenn Saville stepping up. He's got 15 or 16 points, but to be able to step up on the break, save the day with an offensive charge on Boucher there is a good effort.
I'll just correct that. They put it up a little late. He has got 4 fouls, so Dylan Boucher's playing with 4 out there. Now Anderson, and called for the travel that time. They say he lifted his pivot foot before he put the ball on the floor. There's been no move from the Tall Blacks bench to take Boucher out of there, but at this stage of proceedings, I figure he's got his best 5 out there. So the Tall Blacks points since half-time have come from 2 3-pointers and 3 free throws.
Well, they haven't done anything inside. We've seen a lot of missed baskets inside.
There's another 3, but can't make that one at the moment. That's an open shot that Cameron will generally make. Saville pushing the ball down the floor, but sized up the defence and made a good decision. Here goes Anderson again to look down low, but jumps on the outside to Jason Smith, and a sweet 3 from him. Adds to the Tall Blacks' woes right now. They're down by 18 points.
That's a great pass by Dave Anderson to be able to find the open Jason Smith with his feet set on the weak side.
Kirk Penny comes back with 3, as in his mind he's thinking, are we letting the Olympic dream go? Because here we've got the Olympics on the line in Beijing next year. The winner of this 3-game series headed for Beijing, and Penny's starting to fire them up now.
You've got to ask yourself, where was Kirk Penny for a long period in that third quarter?
On the bench.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Anderson again. Well, in fact, the foul call against Pero Cameron. That might be a tough one. I might like to see that one again, because Pero Cameron might be a bit stiff here. We'll have a look at it. He's got the, well, probably gave himself away with that little arm bar there and moving the feet at the same time. But generally, you'd see those things let go a little bit.
Yeah, but there was Anderson no blood, no foul. What are we doing here? We heard Gorgian at the top of the show. It's war.
Well, we've played 2 minutes of this final quarter right now, and the Boomers have got what looks like a stranglehold on the game, but these games can turn around. But again, at international level, a 15-point lead is a big lead.
It certainly is, and now Pero Cameron's gone to the bench. I'm not sure that you know, even with 4 fouls, that you put him to the bench. Play your best players. Down 15 points, 8 minutes to go. If you want to have a chance, you've got to get all your aces out there.
Totally agree with you, Shane. He's got to play. You know, it's the roll of the dice. We said it before. He can't afford to. Brucener can't afford to put Cameron on the bench now. We've got to see him. We've got to see him active. We've got to see him doing the things that he does best, the little things. He doesn't have to score himself, but as he showed in the first half, he's able to get people into scoring positions.
Well, just the way they were sitting on the bench there, just by the way they were seated, I think he might be coming back.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think he's... Okay.
I think Casey Frank clearly called the sub and then walked out and told him that he was off.
Okay,
so.
all right. Yeah, Casey Frank's in there. Certainly you're right, yep. And Pero was just in shot there. I thought he was sitting amongst the starters there for a minute.
I don't like this 5 for the Tall Blacks because there's no scoring other than Kirk Penny. Now, if you're going to make a sub like that, you know, perhaps have another scorer like Phil Jones in.
Darnell Mee down low against Lindsay Tate. He's got a size mismatch there, but it goes to Anderson. Quick shift to Saville. Boomers being patient on offense this time, but out to David Anderson, who sticks a 3. David Anderson's hurting them from the outside, and he has 18 points in the ball game. The big man really doing a great job here, inside and out. Boucher can't make that one, and Anderson it is at the other end, who makes the rebound. But you could admire the way the Boomers are running their offense very patiently at the moment, and their defensive poise. McKinnon backing it out. Saville. Oh, the pass that was meant for McKinnon in the corner. Did he think McKinnon was making a backdoor cut maybe? Had a lot of mustard on the pass.
He certainly did. It was a great play too. Just didn't execute it properly.
Oh, now there's a great transition basket by the Tall Blacks, but they're just too far. A few between. Yeah, it's getting frustrating here, Shane.
Stuck for words, mate. I'm not frustrated. I'm happy.
I can hear it in your voice. Don't let your frustration show through too far. We've got 2 more games to go yet. This is only the first game of the series. And we've got McKinnon headed for the basket and can't make it. Casey Frank gives the Tall Blacks a chance to come up the floor again. Penny with Smith right up in his face. And Kirk Penny takes him to the basket. He couldn't score from outside, so what all good players do, put the ball on the floor and take your man to the hoop. Back to 14 the lead now. Can the Tall Blacks mount something from here? They've got 6 minutes and 20 seconds to do it. Mee with the backdoor cut, but it was a marginal pass if he had tried it. Now Anderson with Casey Frank there, and David Anderson, well, not able to make that shot. He's feeling very confident with the ball in his hands. Now Bradshaw away from the basket, so it's McKinnon who goes out to him, but we're very one-on-one there at the moment, with Dickel looking to take on Darnell Mee, and he's been fouled, so he's been rewarded for his efforts. He'll go to the free throw line, and there's Dickel there looking for that last one, but that was the one where we sent this man to the basket. This is the scoring that they wanted before from this man, Kirk Penny. They haven't got much of it.
But you can see the last couple of baskets by the Tall Blacks, it's because they're going to the basket. You know, they're not settling for the outside jump shot. You've got Sparky going to the basket. You've got Kirk Penny going to the basket, which I think is the key. They did that in the first quarter.
Yeah, if the Kiwis are going to come back, they have to be aggressive and, as you say, go to the basket and spot their shooters up. They haven't done that, but they've shown the initiative in the last minute or so. I think it's a good timeout by Brian Gorgian to be able to get his troops together, because that was a lazy foul, that last one, and really have to be able to ride this out. And it sets a statement in game 1 to be able to say to the Kiwis, here we come, we're going to finish this in game 2.
Now, and we want to go to Sam, or we want to come back to you. All right, Dave, you decide that. Matt, when that ball gets reversed back to Patty, look at your screen away. All right, and Mac, play off that. We want to go some third side now. Spot up.
Sounds like they're going to go into David Anderson or use Sam McKinnon on an isolation situation. And now with Damien Ryan in, he'll want to be able to get a few shots up, because he didn't make any in the first quarter. And if he has been shooting the ball as well as what they're saying, I'm sure he's had a chance to be able to think about it and want to make a couple.
Shane, do you think about Anderson at this stage and playing minutes in this game and maybe thinking about the next game? I know there's only 14 points difference, and you can make it up, but you start thinking about that?
I think you start thinking about it. I think he needs another minute or two and make sure you really consolidate the win and try and grind it out. Plus, I think it's a really big thing to be able to get that confidence and really demoralise the opposition mentally in game one.
Here's Hanari down to put some pressure on Mills. See how he handles it up against a pretty tough guard in Paul Hanari. He handled that little assignment well. Damien Ryan in the game. Plenty of movement in the offense here. Plenty of cutters. Shifted to McKinnon. 5 seconds left on the shot clock as Sam McKinnon takes it to the basket and scores again. The lead out to 15.
But that's too easy once again. Sam McKinnon getting to the basket too easy.
And another steal, so they've turned it over, I think, 7 times in the last quarter. Underneath, David Anderson again. 20 points to Anderson, the high scorer for the game. Sam McKinnon has 18. 3-point shot from Kirk Penny. Is it too late, though?
Well, he's the only one scoring. That's the problem. He's the only one scoring. You know, he's 20 points for the game right now. He's the game high scorer, but
the Boomers have done a great job moving the ball, getting ball reversal, getting cuts, and now isolating for Sam McKinnon like they did the last time. And that was the instruction that Brian Gourgian gave. Move the ball, give an isolation to Sam McKinnon.
Kirk Penny with the foul, and that's the 3rd team foul against the Tall Blacks in the quarter. Just one against the Boomers. Have a look at it. It's just the quickness of Sam McKinnon there and putting the ball on the floor, and just drew that foul out of Kirk Penny.
One of the things the Tall Blacks are doing here, they're going to small ball because they've got 2-point guards with Henare and Dickel, and then the 2 shooting guards in Jones and Kirk Penny.
Well, it certainly hasn't helped them defensively on that play, because they really were in a coma that time. Dickel in the corner to Jones, and he's looking to dump, and he gets Casey Frank. So they've got their big guy on the outside.
It's once again, I said before, Phil, the wrong people are getting the ball in the wrong offensive spots.
Yes, when you've got 4...
You've got 2 of the best shooters on the team.
You've got 4 perimeter players then, and the big guy gets it on the outside.
Yeah.
Patrick Mills now at the point for Australia. Looking to penetrate, and penetrated, but the big hand of Casey Frank put a stop to that. Oh, Sam McKinnon trying to work it over, but Frank grabs the rebound for the Tall Blacks. Back they come. Have to get it quickly. They do, into the hands of this man. Kirk Penny not able to make it. Have to score on every good look now and make some stops at the other end. It's Australia by 16.
Well, they need to get Petal Cameron back into the game. The Tall Blacks have to roll the dice now.
Patrick Mills eating some leather at the moment from Casey Frank. And while we're watching this replay, Pero Cameron's coming back into the game. Casey Frank goes out. Mark Dickel goes out. And back comes Craig Bradshaw. So we've got some size back out there.
You've got to love the mindset of Paddy Mills. He's been blocked a couple of times, and he's had a real crack. I think he's going to be better for the experience, and you know, as we've said, this is a really positive move for Australian basketball, having someone with so much excitement.
Now the Boomers with the ball. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Patrick Mills gets it up and in for 3.
Well, you said he was exciting, Shane. You know, I just love the enthusiasm the young man brings, doesn't he?
He's a great young kid, and when you start talking about Andrew Bogut and these sort of young guys that Australia has, it makes it exciting for Beijing if we can get there.
Young guy named Andrew Ogilvie, who might come into the mix there too. He's pretty good. But that time it's a 3-point shot from Paulie Hanari for the Tall Blacks as he tries to do something about this lead.
Probably someone who's forgotten for Australia is Matt Nielsen. He's having an exceptional career in Europe as well.
Not that time for Damien Ryan. And in the way there was the Boomers, and they hold it up from Mark Worthington. Did a good job defensively to get the ball back. The crowd here at Vodafone Arena have got plenty out of the Boomers here tonight. Worthington losing the ball that time to Phil Jones. Ryan comes back to try and put a stop to him. Kirk Penny just shakes and bakes and in the inside, but not able to make the shot. Coach Gordon just having a look at this lineup on the floor at the moment and say, maybe I can work with this one for a while. And it's still Anderson out there, so I'm just a little surprised now that Anderson's on the floor, but now I see Wade Helliwell getting ready. There he comes in to take Anderson out. He's done a tremendous job. Anderson leaves with 20 points. What a game he's had. And Luke Kendall comes in as well, so he's going to play with Patrick Mills. But timeout's been called here for the moment. As you can see, just 2:18 to go in the ball game. So it's all academic at the moment with Australia with a 16-point lead. Tough for a team in this situation like the Tall Blacks. You know, just how do we play it out? But they want to still work on things for the next game.
Yeah, the key that they've got to finish the last 2:18 strongly. They've got to finish with some positive things. And if they can do that, they can go in with a little bit of confidence into game 2. But if they continue to turn the ball over and get the bad looks and get wrong people in shooting positions, then it's going to be a long game 2. I think the positive is, they've just got to get out there and show some heart. There's no heart. It's been a very flat effort in the second half.
This is the Resi Mortgage Olympic Qualification Series, and really the point spread doesn't mean much, does it? Because we're playing a 3-game series, and one it can be 2-1 or 3-0.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. In 2 minutes and 18 seconds, game 1 will be out of the minds of everyone. We'll be concentrating on game 2, a must-win game for the Tall Blacks.
We're all a bit amused at the betting coming into this game that the Tall Blacks were listed at $5.50 in a 2-horse race, and we're all thinking of getting some of it. Maybe the bookies knew something.
Yeah, I was surprised that it was $5.50.
Well, it was $5.50 before today. It'll be quite good for the next game, won't it?
Australia just dominated. It wasn't even close. They deserved to be $5.50, the Kiwis.
Wade Helliwell, see if he can contribute some good couple of minutes here.
I don't want to hear that, Shane, but you're quite right.
3-point shot from Luke Kendall, who's playing in the off-guard spot rather than the point where he started earlier in the game. So Brian Goorjian looking for combinations here at the moment, trying a few different ones.
The thing on that, Phil, is that Luke Kendall plays 2 for the Sydney Kings. He's not a point guard at the best of times.
Absolutely.
It makes it hard when you're trying to pick someone that's a 2-man, trying to play a point guard spot in something that's even better than what the NBL is.
So Brad Newley out there hasn't really lit it up tonight, but I'll keep an eye on him for the rest of the series because he can really fire it. Phil Jones there with the foul. Just hasn't gotten used to that new haircut yet. Hasn't really been a Phil Jones kind of night either. Phil Jones with just not too many points against his name. I'm just trying to 5 points against his name, so he's had a quiet night for a guy who's got a reputation as a scorer.
Yeah, it certainly has been, but he's used to the wide open gaps and 3-point shots, and it doesn't come in international basketball. It's certainly a different style, and some people make the adjustments and some people don't.
So the Boomers with a very comfortable 15-point lead as we come under 90 seconds to go in this game. The opening game in this Olympic qualification series. Been a good one for the Boomers, but it's only a first game. Tried to save it on the end line there, Luke Kendall, but it'll go back to the Tall Blacks, and Patrick Mills goes out and Darnell Mee comes in. Patrick Mills, he'll be pleased with his second half here. He got the lid off it and got started. It's the start of what looks like being a wonderful career if he keeps going with the same progression that he's had over the last 18 months or so. Trying to get it up there. Inlaid to Dylan Boucher, and too long on the shot clock, so another good defensive set there from the Boomers.
And another turnover for the Tall Blacks. They really have to finish strongly here, Phil. They need to cut down on those turnovers. They need to take some confidence into game 2.
10 turnovers. Really can't afford that. Boomers convert at least 1 point per turnover, you could say. Newley, me. Screen there from Helliwell. See if they can locate Helliwell down low for the last play. Three-point shot goes up from Kendall. He can stick that too on occasions, but not this time. We've got a 15-point game as Phil Jones, I mentioned it wasn't his kind of night, but that's what he can do. And we want to take that sort of form into games 2 and 3. Now, the Australians just want to finish this game off well. They had that 16-point lead, now it's down to 12. 30 seconds to go. Last couple of plays for the teams. Kendall down low to Helliwell. That big left-handed back to the basket move. Left that one short though. Darnell Mee got the rebound and was fouled there by Mika Bacona. So Darnell will go to the free throw line to have 2 for Australia. Here it is again.
They gave it to Lindsay Tate there.
Tate, okay. But interesting to see Darnell Mee. I mean, I never would have thought that I'd be saying here's Darnell Mee scoring for Australia. I mean, he's a guy who's an absolute ornament to the game throughout, I think, 4 NBL clubs in Australia now, and done a terrific job for all of them. But after playing for the Denver Nuggets in the NBA up to about age 24 and then finishing off his career now as an Australian, terrific to see. 14-point Aussie Boomers lead. They go, hit Boucher in the back of the head, and Newley got a piece of it. The ball changing hands. Keep up the statisticians there to try and get the possessions right there.
But that's typical of the Kiwi effort tonight. Just the miscommunication. It's a cardinal sin in international basketball.
Nothing there for Brad Newley, but the final hooter goes here at Vodafone Arena in Game 1 of the Resi Mortgage Olympic Qualification Series for FIBA 2007. And it's been the Australia Post Bloomers, the 12-point winners over the New Zealand Dominion Finance Tall Blacks, 67. Very, very strong game from the Boomers tonight, and they've stamped their authority on this game, but a long way to go, Jeffrey.
There's a long way to go in the series. There's no 2 ways about it. But it's going to be a long trip for the Tall Blacks to Sydney, and there's a lot of soul searching to be done because that just was not a great performance from the Tall Blacks. And it's all about turnovers. The simple things in basketball, and the turnovers have just absolutely wrecked them.
Yes, it hasn't been a good night for the Tall Blacks, but they will be working on plenty going into that Game 2, which is on in Sydney in 2 nights' time at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. If you're in Sydney, make sure you get your tickets. If you're not, watch it on Fox Sports or through Maori TV. Here's Shane Heal now with the New Zealand captain, Pero Cameron.
Well, Pero, thanks for joining us, mate. Tough start to the series.
Yeah, mate, we're playing like, they're playing more desperate than us. We're playing like we got it wrapped up, and we haven't, you know. It's a tough ask to win over here on Aussie soil, and we need to do more.
So you guys were confident coming in. You looked a little lethargic.
Yeah, I think we were confident, but, mate, they wanted it more. You know, you could see it. Even the guys come off the bench, Hinder and the young point guard who came in, they really pushed the tempo defensively. And, you know, they wanted more.
It looked like you guys struggled to score a little bit.
Yeah, in the third quarter, we really struggled. You know, they took us out of our offense. We only had sort of 8-9 seconds left in the shot clock because they pressed us the whole game, and it takes its toll when you're trying to get something done in 9 seconds at the other end.
Well, it's not over, brother. Good luck in Game 2.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Cheers.
Good on you, mate. We've got Glenn Saville here as well. Good on you, Sav. Game 1 wrapped up.
Yeah, it was pretty important. I got to say there was a few nerves. You know, I haven't put the green and gold on for a little while, so definitely some nerves. And given that what's at stake, and you know that's straight into the Olympics, so it's a good start for us.
Well, married life's treating you well, mate. 16 points and 6 rebounds to start the series.
Yeah, it's definitely settled me down. Oh, yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, it's good to. We had some good preparation, and for myself, coming back from a long off season, had some good games away, and I'm pretty happy to start it off that way. But just not getting too carried away with ourselves at the moment, because we know Game 2 is going to be huge for us, and hopefully we can seal up the series by then.
What adjustments do you think they're going to come back with in Game 2?
I think they're going to do something about us trapping the ball in the backcourt. I think that's something that we really worked to our advantage. By the time they got the ball down, they only had a chance to run one play. They had about 14 or 15 seconds left on the shot clock. So I think they're probably going to have to send guys back to try and bring the ball up. But that's something that worked well for us tonight.
Good job tonight, mate. Way to step up in the leadership role. And we've got the young excitement machine, Paddy Mills.
Nō reira e te iwi ki te i whai hua te kapa Boomers I tēnei te tukinga tuatahi o tēnei whakataata ki te kapa Tallbacks I wiki tōria whitu te kaumā iwa ki te ono te kaumā whitu e Tania. Disappointing start to the series for the Tall Blacks.
Yeah, not a good start, and the guys didn't play well. And you know, I mean, if you're down 18 points in that fourth quarter, it showed that they gave up. You know, halfway through it, and you know. Penny, he tried to spark it up there with, you know, his performance, but I'm sure Nenad wouldn't be happy, and I don't think Nenad will get any sleep tonight or the next 48 hours because he'll be more picking apart the guys on his team as opposed to the Boomers.
Well, just on that fact, the scoreline would suggest that the Boomers totally dominated the game, but how much of the game did the Tall Blacks actually lose rather than the Boomers winning?
Well, you know, the Tall Blacks shot themselves in the foot, and in that third quarter, you know, like I said earlier, 9 points in a quarter is not good, and they definitely struggled. PC said it. They've got to do something drastically when it comes down to their offensive game.
And just interesting to note with new head coach Nenad Vucinic, his subbing, well, I guess playing his key players in the third quarter was highlighted that Cook Penny didn't really play a lot of minutes in the third quarter, and also within the fourth quarter, again, it didn't really stay with his main three players. I know Petal Cameron was in foul trouble, but you didn't see the big three, Phil Jones being the other person, all trying to stage some type of fight back.
Yeah, well, you know, with substitutions internationally, you can get a bit flustered. I'm not sure what Nenad was, you know, what he had in his game plan, but definitely Kirk Penny sat out a little bit longer than you'd think, and you know, I didn't see too much of Phil Jones tonight as well.
No, ka tika rā. And tēnā rā watu hoki koe mo au whakaro. The good news is, e te iwi, the series isn't over. This is only game 1. Make sure you tune back into Māori television to catch game 2 and 3. And the first one is from Wednesday, and that's coming to you from Brisbane. And again, same time here on Māori television on Friday night will be hopefully, what we're hoping for is the decider coming straight out of Sydney and Puihātena. Nō reira e te iwi kuina ua mātou whakaro e pāna ki tēnei tukinga tuatahi o I wainganui te kapa Boomers me te kapa Tall Blacks ko te wawata ka hoki kaha mai te kapa Tall Blacks I te kēmu tuarua a te pō o te Wenerei. Nō reira mai mātou katoa o whakaata Māori tainua ki tau o wā ngā manaakitanga ki runga I a kōtou katoa, Pō Māria.